All right, Mrs. I'm pressing the button.
All right.
Mike Brewer's in the house.
Woohoo.
Well,
There you are.
yep. I'll do this from here. It's the first time that's happened. Theme song's going. I'm thinking, why is there only one mug there? Chad. Oh, Chad.
Uh-oh.
Gosh. Oh, my God. I can't even get
Chad.
look at this whole thing.
Chad. Get it together, Chad.
Well, there's a whole thing to setting up the studio, and we used to do it a certain way, and now we're experimenting with different ways, and
Right.
it's a learning experience.
Here we
Hi,
are.
Mrs. Ryan. How are you
Hi.
doing? Welcome
Good morning.
back. See, here we go. Which one of these is the one I need? Welcome back, everybody. Hello. Today is Wednesday, April 17th, 2019. My name is Jay Ryan. This is Nicole Ryan. We are the Ryans, and this is It's Tonight's Show. We are excited as usual, but tonight our guest is Mr. Mike Brewer, and tonight is the night that his show, Wheeler Dealers, is back on Motor Trend. I mean, it's kind of a big deal. A big deal. So we're going to resist our general urge of verbosity. That's a word for sure. And we're just going to try to get the show going today. But how are you doing, Mrs. Ryan? How are you feeling today?
Awful.
Yeah.
Awful.
Yeah. It's amazing. You get the biggest smile,
Yeah,
and you
always.
are so personable. Like, it's incredible. And you just, all the hospitality. We have a full house today for sure. And all the hospitality, all the drinks, and the whole bit. You were handling everything. And I happen to know that you've been up since 2 a.m. So
Yeah.
how are you doing?
Awful. I'm
Awful with a giant smile, though.
wired wrong, so the worse I feel, the happier I look. So great.
I'm sorry, but bravo. It's the
Bravo.
worst bravo ever.
Worst problem to have. It's fine. It's all in a day. And I think I just got excitable. I think
What?
it all comes from my being excitable.
Oh, excitable. Oh, okay. Reactionary? Is that the same thing, or is
Lots
it the
of-
same family?
Sure. It's in the same
asking.
family. Yeah.
I'm
It's
not
in
trying
the
to put words
family.
in your mouth.
No, and then I coughed. I mean, it's
It's
an
a lot.
excitable factor.
Well, I like your outfits. There's definitely a theme here
yeah.
to go.
Oh, I noticed it the minute
So
they walked
excited.
in. I was like, "Oh, your shoes."
Oh, really? Oh, I didn't even notice that. I just saw all four of us were all in the same shirts. All right, Mrs. Ryan. The only business I have to attend to today is some good, fun, awesome business.
Cool.
It's you don't have anything else for the hellos, do you? I'm sorry. Okay, we're gonna go to the East Coast, but it's not to check in with the feed. Where are we going, Mrs. Ryan?
I don't know.
Really? We're gonna go backstage with Mr.
Oh,
Ray
yeah.
Shaffer from Porsche. Let's see where Mr. Ray Shaffer is today. Giving us an awesome backstage pass. Roll it out.
Hello, Jay and Nicole from the beautiful Barber Motorsports Park here in Birmingham, Alabama. Let's take a walk around the paddock of the IndyCar weekend, see who we might see and what cool cars we might see. It's what you do on a Saturday when you've got a wonderful day off like this. Let's enjoy. Jay and Nicole walking around the Haggerty Car Corral. Who do I bump into but one of your previous guests?
Hey, Ryans! Hey, Mr. Ryan. Hi, Jay. It's Ramsey Potts.
As if you had any question, of course, right? Who's the guy with a hat? What have you been up to, Ramsey?
Thank you for asking, Ray. Lots of travel. I'm going all over the place meeting the coolest petrol heads on the planet with RM Sotheby's. We've been having a real busy season. Great auctions in Amelia, Fort Lauderdale. Looking forward to a fantastic summer. But I'm here at the racetrack this weekend with my buddy Ray at Barber Motorsports Park in Alabama. And it's fun because for Ray and I, about 30 years ago, Ray, is when we really first met. A lot of it had to do with racing, going to the IndyCar races at Mid-Ohio and kart races and all kinds of races. So it's really special to be here this weekend with my pal. We're having a great time, great weather. We miss you guys.
Well, as you can tell, Ramsey needs a little injection of enthusiasm, so we're going to take him for a walk around the paddock and take a look at some race cars. That ought to do it, right? And then maybe he'll show some enthusiasm.
I'll try. I really will.
Anyway, you guys have a great show. Thanks for all you do. We'll look forward to seeing you soon.
Love you guys. Happy motoring.
Wow. Holy smokes. Wow, if you couldn't hear us, we are laughing over here. What a surprise. Wasn't that delightful?
I had no idea that was going to be what showed up.
Here's the thing. You guys don't have to believe this or not, but we generally don't watch these first so that you get a real reaction. That was great. I was so not expecting that. Hey, everybody, it's Ramsey. Oh, God, I love him so much.
That was the greatest.
For anybody who couldn't hear over us laughing, that, of course, was Ramsey Potts from a specialist over at RM Sotheby's and a big car guy, and everybody knows him in the industry, but great guy. And those guys have been friends, like they said, for 30 years.
I know.
Isn't that amazing? One thing I just wanted to bring up just for your sake. Did you see a guy waddling in the paddock with a long thing? You didn't see it? There was a big long thing with a very long apparatus? Oh, I was going to see if you knew what that was. I did, but I forget it. It was a starter for an Indy car.
Oh.
I know. I thought, this will be a nice piece of trivia. And then, hey, everybody, it's Ramsey.
Oh, my God, so...
Oh, I love that guy. All right, Mrs. Ryan, let's not dilly-dally. It's time to ask the question that's on everyone's mind.
Dun, 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 dun.
What's going on, Mrs. Ryan?
An Australian couple went fishing in the outback, and they got caught based on, like, what I know of rules from cartoons. They wrote "help in the mud."
Oh,
and
sure.
a plane saw them and found them and rescued them.
Even the stuff in cartoons was written by real people and based on real things at some point.
Totally.
I love that stuff.
Yeah, I've heard bits about comedians that were taught things growing up that were based on cartoons or whatever, and like learned from cartoons, and like this really happened. So
Yeah, that's a good one.
I love
That's
it.
a good one.
Don't panic.
It's
Always
also common
look
sense,
what's
by the
around.
way.
It is common sense, but I would panic and forget to do that. So
Oh, I see. Yeah, well, that's the first thing. Don't panic.
good reminder.
Rule number one, no
not
panic.
to panic.
That is a nice one, though. And they were rescued and they're safe and sound.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, so keep fishing. I didn't know this. For some reason, I thought that the moon had no water. I feel like that's something we were told and whatever, and they don't really.
When you see them running around, it was always kind of powdery.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you would see the dust clouds.
Okay,
and stuff,
so
maybe
that
that's
was
why
a
you
school of thought.
One would assume it.
Okay,
It also
well,
looks kind of, I would understand that thought. I never
It's-
really thought about it.
dry. But they did find. I've decided that I want to look at planets like Boston cream donuts, like that are filled from the
what's
inside.
Well, it could be
Because
anything, right? Could be jelly, could
it
be
could be-
custard. You just don't know.
You
Could be
never
cream
know.
filling.
And frosting, I used to love. Gross. But
It's gross.
it's totally disgusting, but I loved it. But what they're finding is that when meteorites hit the moon, if they make like a 3-inch indentation, they release water,
Oh,
not
wow.
dust. So
Only meteorites?
probably
What I was just
everything.
describing, that guy, like the footprints, that was dust probably and not
Yeah.
water vapors?
Yeah, he didn't go far enough in.
Okay.
But it's
So
super.
below the
low.
lunar surface, though, supposedly is
There's a
water of
really
some sort?
thin layer. Yeah, it's like 0.02 to 0.05% by weight or something. It's super low density, but super neat. There's
is
water
cool.
in the atmosphere. From
What
the
is
moon.
that? Did they say what that will do for us? What does that discovery mean? Does it change anything? Does it
It changes knowing...
Does it make the moon inhabitable? Like, what does it do?
No, what it does do, though, is changes our understanding of what the moon is.
Oh, I see.
So it gives us ways to think about it.
Okay.
That are different, so.
Okay.
It's a little more organic, I think.
Makes sense.
France, okay, horrible, that's going on in Notre Dame. But they jumped on it. France is already getting ahead of this. And they announced an international competition to rebuild the spire that got burned down.
Mm-hmm.
Who knows what will happen with that? It's a neat idea.
I think it's neat.
There's already $900 billion
in the fund
for restoration from like French billionaires and people that want to see it.
What comes to mind here is just everybody in a quest to be first, and just there's a name for this, and from your old business, but when people just want to everything gets dramatized and grandiose for the sake of the headline. You know what I'm saying? There's a very simple term for this, but whatever it is, I'm just whatever. What I'm describing is all of the headlines that evening were Notre Dame, total loss, blah, blah, blah. Oh, the humanity, the whole fucking thing. Yeah, it is. It's terrible. It's awful. None of us liked seeing those visuals. But the truth is, the wooden part of the roof burned just like it did in the movie, for God's sake. I mean, I don't know who's surprised. The thing is, they're going to rebuild it again. It's not the first time. All of the things. I'm glad that they said that they can confirm that nobody was killed. I mean, that's pretty fantastic.
Okay.
So,
then that's a win.
Yeah, that's what I think,
This spire was added on. It was an addendum already that was added on in the mid-1800s.
As a designer, it never went.
It was added on in the mid-1800s. Like, maybe it's time for an upgrade. But so billionaires, like local ones, but also companies like Yves Saint Laurent and Louis Vuitton and Sephora and L'Oreal. Like,
it's all good.
It's so cool. The money's coming from so many different places. Yes,
it's making it a global community, which I love.
Yeah. So I love that everyone's getting involved, and there's already money for restoration. They've said it's not going anywhere else. This is what it's for.
Right.
Which is awesome.
Absolutely.
And then lastly, two boys in Savannah, Georgia, beat rescue workers to save a flock of baby ducks out of a sewer. And the police department thanked them on Facebook and was like, this is what community is about.
Nice little segue.
This is how it goes. Yeah. I mean, help when you can. They got a call because of a noise complaint, and the kids were like, I'll just help.
Ugh. Someone was complaining about the ducks in distress noise.
Yeah. And so the cop got there eventually because he's got other important things to do. And the kids were like, I'll just save the ducks.
That's awesome.
So they did.
That is a feel-good one.
Kudos to the kids in Savannah.
And that's been, with a very nice big smile, what's going on, Mrs. Ryan?
Oh, yeah.
All right, it's time to get car guru, wheeler dealer host. I don't even know. He's just been a car guy for life. I'm going to find out all about that in a few minutes. Let's get Mike Brewer in here right after the break. He's going to be sitting in that chair right there. More to come right after this.
I mean, you can always bring Mrs. B in at some point if you wanted to.
Absolutely.
She is she's the driving force behind everything, so why not?
With that, we are back with Mr. Mike Brewer. Hello there, Mike Brewer.
How are you?
Get some cameras there. Looks at you're on. You're good. Beautiful. Thank you for being here.
It's a pleasure.
I was very surprised today to find out that you're one of our few guests who've actually seen the show before they got here. So we're new. You know,
you might think that it was a bit of research, but no, actually, you've had two of my very good friends on here, Nicholas Hunziker and Freeman.
I know
Freeman very well.
Sure.
So when I found out those guys were on, I started to tune in, and I got to say, I very much enjoy it. It's great.
That's very kind of you. Thank you so much.
It's great, and great studio. I love it.
I'll take that too. Thank you very much. I have been a fan of yours since I first found Wheeler Dealers, which is whenever it came to this country. I don't know. I would say at least 10 years ago, but it's probably more like 12.
Yeah, it
Something
probably
like
is.
that.
I think, do you know what? I don't know the actual date it landed in the US, but we've been making the show since 2003.
Oh, wow.
And I think it possibly came here around 2007.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
long
That's
time.
what feels right to me.
Yeah, long time.
You did an episode with a friend of mine, Danny, down at DeLorean.
Yes, that's right.
Way back
yeah,
when,
that was
yeah.
great. That was great.
It was great.
Now, that was a long time ago. I remember that damn car, wherever I went in it, I kept getting pulled over. I got pulled over 3 times by the cops in that car, but not because I was doing anything wrong or illegal. It's just that they wanted to take a picture
Photos,
in the car. And I'm like, are you allowed to do that as a cop? But
We used to have one of the Back to the Future DeLoreans.
You just don't argue with somebody who's got a gun. So,
No.
No, just don't argue. Yeah, go and have a picture.
Sure.
Go ahead.
Well, that's when I first became aware of you. Rabid fan right out of the gate. We actually have the first, I don't know, however many seasons are available on our DVR. Big fan of the show.
Thank you.
No, it's absolutely 100% true. Not DVR, our media server. I mean, I bought them on iTunes. It was like a thing. What the hell got you into cars? And then I'd like to talk about the show maybe in a little bit. But how did all that start? I mean, I came to you. You're already a car fan with a car show, with, the whole thing. That's not where you started in cars.
No. I started in cars I was born into a car-loving family, or dare I say, a car-loving dad, if you like. So my dad was a car customizer. He used to hot rod cars in London in the 1970s. And that was kind of an unusual thing back then. You know, people are driving around in Hillman Minxes and Bedford CF vans, and my dad had a penchant for thrust side pipes and wolf race wheels. And that was kind of unusual.
Standoutish.
Standoutish. So I was brought up in a world of car shows, custom car shows, and seeing my dad get notoriety, people patting my dad on the back all the time and saying, great job. And I was around that. I was around that world and seeing his cars appear in magazines and being quite famous. So as a young lad, I used to help him out in the workshop. So from the age of about, I suppose, 8, 9, 10, 11, I used to spend my summer holidays in the garage, in the workshop with him. He had a business, and hand him the right tool, make sure that I polish the tool before I put it back in the toolbox.
Beautiful.
And I learned very quickly how to flip, restore, customize, modify cars. I didn't know I was learning, like anything.
Your DNA is being formed, though, isn't it?
My DNA was being formed right there in front of me. I can remember my dad doing deals, selling cars, buying cars, and educating me in, how to look at paintwork, how to look for previous signs of accident damage. And back then, I didn't really care. Well, it was sort of just part of growing up.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until I got to 16, 17 years of age when I started to buy and sell scooters and cars. It wasn't until I got to there I all of a sudden realised that I knew
I already know what I'm doing.
Yeah, I know what I'm
This is
doing,
weird.
and I knew a lot. And, I bought and sold my first car at the age of... you can't drive in England until you're 17 years of age in a car. So I bought my first Mini at 17, crashed it. I never crashed it. My sister's neighbour reversed into it. And then me and my dad restored it. And I sold it for £500 more than I'd had in it. And that back then was a month's wages. To a full-size adult, that was a month's wages. And I thought...
On a car that you couldn't even technically... I mean, it was a kiddie car.
A kiddie
for
car.
you.
And I thought, I'm good at this. I've done that quite well. I'm quite good at this.
Wow.
So I've never stopped doing it ever since. I've just bought and sold cars all my life. And here I am today.
Wow.
Many years later. God, I don't know. Decades later.
Fair enough.
Yes, decades. Thank God I never said centuries. But decades later, and I'm still doing the same thing.
Well, with that, then, is it a passion or is it just the DNA and I don't know another way? This is what I do.
Exactly that, right? So my my DNA is very, very simple, and I am one strand DNA from wherever the great chimp that we come from. My DNA does one thing: it rebuilds cars. If my beautiful wife Michelle, who's here with us today, if Michelle says,
right now,
"Can we mow the lawn?" Surely there's another man who's got DNA that mows the lawn. Can we put a shelf up? There must be a man that's got DNA that puts shelves up that he can do that.
I agree with you. I agree with you.
Yes,
I agree with you
exactly.
Fundamentally.
Right. So your DNA strand is this. You are a talk show host.
Without
That's your
saying
strand.
it. Yeah.
Right. So if your lovely wife says to you, we need to go to the grocery store and get some shopping, surely there's a strand of DNA somewhere that somebody else owns that they do that.
Absolutely.
So
Instacart, I think.
I'm just purely, and I mean this wholeheartedly, I'm just an utter car guy. I don't know anything else. I don't really want to know anything else. I've immersed myself in this whole world of automotive restoration. And what I'm good at is not only telling a story and narrating a story about a car's journey,
yes,
but I'm a damn good TV producer and TV maker as well.
Mm-hmm.
So, and because of my passion for cars and my passion for delivering and narrating a good story, I've ended up with the biggest car show in the world.
Yeah. Is it officially?
Yeah.
I mean, because I would say it's the one certainly that people has the most awareness of anyone I know.
Well, I think it's some people, and it's not a competition, and I don't really care that it is a competition, but some people may argue that Top Gear or Fast and Loud are bigger, but Fast and Loud may be bigger in America, but it just doesn't translate across Europe, where Wheeler Dealers translates in every territory across the world, and
you've also got the longevity behind it.
It's the longevity. It's been around forever. It's like watching The Time of Our Lives or Coronation Street in England or Bangos de Fury. It's just always there,
right?
And let's hope it's always.
It's a public utility. I like that.
Yes,
I like that.
I like that public utility.
That's what we're trying to do. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Something that's just it's dependable, it's consistent, it's there when you need it, it's there when you don't need it. It's just always there, and there's not enough of that in the world these days.
No, there isn't enough of that in the world, because everything today, including the cars, and I know you're big car fans, and we've met each other at Porsche events, everything these days seems to be disposable. Right. Everything is just throwaway. Whether it's TV content today, it's just disposable and it's instant and it's thrown away. Putting naked bodies on a desert island and getting them to run around and fall in love with each other. It's here 1 minute, it's gone the next.
Right.
And shows like this, talk shows and well-grounded, comfortable programs and a well-grounded, comfortable car show is longevity, and it just keeps us going forever.
Yeah.
You're good at this.
It's my living. This is what I do for a living.
So let's progress to that then. The car guy, I get that's in your DNA, but you are a hell of a presenter. I mean, to the point where people have approached you to do shows, and you're always in talks about that sort of thing. I hope you do that at some point, and it's not a conversation I want to have today. But did you get good at that? Were you always good? You probably have always had a personality, so that's probably built in.
Yeah. Again, I'm going to just refer back to my family, and I'm sure this is going to sound familiar to other people out there from a large family. I'm the baby of 6. Okay, so I got 5 older brothers and sisters. And when you're the baby of 6 in a family that live in a 1 or 2 bedroom apartment in a very poor neighbourhood in London, and we are very poor, the family was very poor, there's food put on the table, and if you don't sharpen your elbows and shout, you're not going to get fed. So from a very early age, I had to make myself be known and aware, and I had to fight my way onto that dining table to get some food. Equally to get a pair of sneakers, a pair of trainers for my feet, or to get a T-shirt. I lived for all my life with hand-me-downs. Wearing my sister's top, even my sister's underwear. That was how poor we were. So as a consequence of that, I'm a confident person. I became very confident in the terms that I can shout my way to the top.
You knew you could handle yourself, take care of yourself.
Yeah, and when I went through my fend for myself. And when I went through my school years, it was the same. At my school years, I very much was the smallest person in my school by a long way.
Really?
I was a tiny little kid. I was very underdeveloped, but I had the loudest voice. And I didn't have the loudest voice because I wanted to be the flashiest and be heard. It's just that it was the only way to get heard, to have somebody notice me. And as a consequence, when television come and found me now 22 years ago, it's a long time ago, I know. When I said 22 years...
You should have just said experience, Jay.
Television, it was black and white back then.
Yeah, right.
When television, and then we used to watch it on a glass tube in the corner of the room.
With a round screen, I understand.
With a round screen, not a flat panel. When television come and found me 22 years ago, straight out the box, I was good at it. I was, and that's not me saying that, that's them saying that. The TV said to me, blimey, you're really good at this, and as a consequence, that very first show I ever did on TV 22 years ago, I've never not worked on television every week ever since. That's all I've ever done.
Good for
That's
you.
impressive.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
That really is impressive.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
this is a career of 15 minutes. It's not longevity technically.
Yeah, but you're in a longevity market. That's what I said to you. See, this is comfortable, isn't it? And this is what people want. And people are going to tune into this because they know they're going to get this repeated format every night. They're going to feel cosseted and comfortable when they watch it, just like they do with Wheeler Dealers, like they do with Jimmy Kimmel, like they do with any talk show host. That's what people want. And this is exactly what people want. This is lovely.
I love it.
This
I
is
love
lovely.
it. I was an only child, so I just sat there quietly.
Unlike now you're owning it. You're owning that, aren't you?
I'm
You're
trying.
owning it.
We are trying. I think this was a whole switch for us. We were always behind the scenes people. You know what I mean? Presenting is very new.
Well, you're damn good at it. And,
Okay, all
I
right,
have
okay.
watched your. I've watched your previous shows, and your shows unfortunately, in the world of television, there's too many people out there trying to be famous.
Yeah.
And I think the route to trying to be famous is just not be famous. And for me on Wheeler Dealers, I genuinely still today hate the fact that people call me a celebrity or a star. If they want to do it, I can't help it. But I'm not. The car is. I always try to make the car on the program the star of the show. I'm not a star. I'm just a guy who fixes up cars for a living. I'm good at it. That's it. So I always try to pay respect to the car. And I think out there in this world today, there's too many people trying to be naked on a desert island, like I said, just to try and get noticed for 5 minutes. And if you are just like us, just passionate about what you do and deliver it in a nice, cool way, people will just make you famous by default.
I love that. That's the hope. That's true grassroots.
Yeah, of course it is.
Yeah.
Of course I mean, look, TV wants TV and, dare I say, radio and podcasts. What they want is people that's passionate about their subject matter.
Right.
And that's as simple as that. You any successful person in this world, Steve Jobs, Bill Gates, anyone, Richard Branson, Elon Musk, they are successful because they're passionate dearly. And they would cross hot coals, walk out on hot coals for their passion. And that's what drives them, and that's what makes them a success. And as long as you're doing that, you'll succeed.
I love that. I want you to focus and not listen to everybody else. That was my thing for life. It was just getting everybody else involved in my soup that I'm making over here. And I'm the only one who knows how I want this to be.
Do you know, in this world that we live in as well, full of social media, and we use social media, you do as an effective tool, I do as an effective tool. With all that negativity that's out there, it's very easy to be negative on social media.
Yes.
You just need to filter that nonsense out. Just filter it out. Get rid of it. You don't need those people in your lives. Only deal with positive people in your lives and have a positive attitude to everything you do. I've never woken up in the last 22 years with my glass half empty. Never once. I've always woken up with my glass half full and my tail in the air and excited about what I'm about to do, today.
Do you think part of that is, well, I'm sure there's a million facets, but I'm just curious, having grown up the way you grew up and then having made what you have currently, I would have to assume that there's a tremendous amount of pride when you wake up. Look what I've done. I'm going to continue to do this. And
absolutely. And for every person out there that tries to bring that down and says, you're crap, you're rubbish.
I have a hard time with that.
Yeah, I do. It hurts.
It does hurt.
It hurts horribly.
Yeah.
And when they do that, these are people that have never met me. They don't know anything about me. And, I just filter them out now. I just block them off and filter them out. But it does hurt because I think, why would you say that? Why would you say that? I get, more than I think any other TV host, and there'll be a lot of people that are vouch for this. Me, my wife and my daughter, we have more abuse online because for one reason, because we wake up every morning with our tail in the air, our glasses half full, and we're positive about
It's
what
hard
we're
for
about
people
to
to
do.
do.
And people can't deal with that.
Yeah.
People just can't deal with that. People are in their mundane lives. They can't get away from their computer screens. They can't get away from their cell phones, and they are in a rut. These people are in a rut, and if they see success, they're going to blame somebody for their failings. So yeah, never deal with those people. Just block them out. Just don't even. I've got a new filter, if you like, that I've invented. It's it's post, don't read. Simple as that. Post, don't read.
Yeah.
Simple as that.
Absolutely.
Post, don't read.
That's a good rule of thumb, man.
Stay out of the comments the whole bit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Drop, I like it. Just drop it and
Drop it and move
get
on.
the hell
but
out.
yeah, I mean, look, every day you have to think about my life. And to go back to your question, do I wake up because of the success of what I created? Every day I wake up and I think, and this is genuine. As I say, I'm a guy that fixes up cars for a living, and I'm the car's the star. Every day I wake up and I genuinely think somebody's paying me for this today.
Yeah, that's where
somebody's actually going to give me some money to go and do what I would be doing anyway.
That's the part of genuinely grateful.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, what?
Yes, I can't
It's
believe
magic,
it.
right?
It is magic.
What am I getting away with today?
Yes. How did I do this? I don't even have a pistol or wear a mask, and yet somehow I've got away with it.
They're beating down my door to give me stuff. Yeah. Can we talk about wheeler dealers?
Yeah, go
the
for
early
it.
days specifically. All right. I found the show, as I mentioned, because of the DeLorean episode, but then I went back and the whole thing. What was appealing to me about the show was not just that it was a car show and that you were very personable and that Ed was very good at what he did. I can mention Ed, right?
Yeah, of course you can.
Okay. What really hit me was the dichotomy between not you and Ed, but the two different types of people.
Yeah.
There's a guy, and it's sort of these
Yeah.
two different types of
Yeah.
people. There's the guy who has no problem talking to other people.
Yeah.
And almost is the front of the house.
Yeah.
And then
Okay.
you've got somebody else who is much more comfortable working in a room all by themselves.
Yeah.
Watching the dichotomy between you two was what drew me in because I was one of those creatures, yet I wanted to be the other creature, which
Yeah.
is everybody. Whoever is one generally
Wants to
have
be the other.
a little bit, right? Grass is greener. You created Wheeler Dealers, correct?
Yeah.
Was that built in? Did you know all of that, or were you just trying to do a car show and you accidentally filtered it with so much heart that everyone was then attracted to it?
Well, I didn't. Yeah. Let's
You know
go
what I'm
back-
saying? Wheeler
Yeah,
Dealers on paper is a car show.
It's fundamentally a car show. Yeah. I mean, look, the show was created by two guys, Daniel Allen and Michael Wood, together with me. We sat down with a piece of paper and we took the best. I did another show before called Deals on Wheels. That was a show I did in
Oh.
1997.
Similar?
show. It was about people buying and selling their cars, and we were looking at them. But during that program, there was an element where I would show you tips on how to fix up your car and get it sold.
Okay.
So we took the best element of that show, which I created of that show, and we made a whole program out of it
Absolutely.
called Wheeler Dealers. To get to what you're saying, it didn't happen by accident. You know what we've thought of with Wheeler Dealers is there has to be somebody to go out there and buy and sell the cars. There has to be a car dealer, somebody who's out on the road finding parts, sourcing cars, finding people, looking at trades and industries. That's my role in the show. But what happens then is very, how can I say it, singular. You have Ed, now Ant, in the studio, and it's very intimate. There's just that intimacy between...
He's talking straight to
the
camera.
Yeah, and it's very intimate. He isn't engaging at any time with a member of the public like I am all the time. I'm
almost
only on
only.
screen with somebody else. So what we did with Ed is we realised very early on in the very early shows when we were making this up, to be honest with you, that it was too intimate. So let's get me back into the workshop in every part break. Let's get me back in.
Oh, it was jarring between the two, you mean?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, and when you end up throwing me back into the workshop to deliver parts or to take a part away.
Oh, I see. None of that was there.
None of that was there, yeah.
I like that. I like that part. Yeah.
So that was to bring the outside inside, if you like, and to bring me and to get Ed interacting.
For me, that was the relationship I was talking about. I wouldn't have necessarily noticed it had it not been for, oh, Mike's here. The door opens, the light comes in, and Mike comes in with his parts, and hey, man, you've done a great job, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, and do you know what? We're still doing exactly that same scene in every show still today.
That's the formula,
because
right?
it is the formula, and not only that, it works. I mean, it really works, because you end up, as a member of the audience, you can become too stale, just staring at the screen and watching one person just narrate about how to rebuild a turbo. That can become stale.
Yeah.
Unless that's interrupted with a little sideline that says, let me take that turbo part away and get it fixed for you, people will start to, just
that was some of my favorite stuff, too, when you would go someplace else and, I'm going to redo these seats myself with the guy and the whole
we
bit.
still do it. In every single show, we still do exactly that. So Wheeler Dealers, sort of, by the time we got to the end of the very first series, we'd sort of struck upon this formula. Okay. And this formula was working. Not only was it working, it was the highest rated show on the network in its first season. And as a consequence, they ordered more seasons, and as they ordered more, the audience grew and grew, and then it started to take on an international flavour, because we started to venture into more international cars, and as such, it started to play out.
Well, you would travel as well, right?
We travel, and we played out in international markets, French, Germany, Holland, Belgium, Australia, and then, of course, it crossed over here to North America. And when it done that, it just exploded. The show sort of just exploded in its gravitas and its appeal and what people liked from it. They just thought this is exactly what they want to watch. And funny enough, we did tweak parts of the format along the way. Even after, let's go up to season 2013, we had to tweak the format slightly, because at that point, Edd didn't want to really work. Edd wanted to take more time off. He wanted more time to be with his family or his wife, and he wanted to do less work. As a consequence, that meant that I had to come into the workshop more. Still got to deliver a show. I had to come in more and do more work on the cars.
Sure.
Now,
I remember that transition.
Yeah, you remember that transition. So
sure.
you see me in every show in the workshop doing...
The show was already here in the States, I think,
It was here in the States, and this is purely because Edd wanted more time off. He simply weren't turning up for work. So if he's not there, I have to be there. Somebody has to be there. We've got a crew on standby. So
that's production. I know production, yeah.
As a consequence of that, people hated it. People would write in and complain on social media.
There was a different tone to the show.
It was
100%.
a different tone, yeah. But that tone was, I'm stealing Edd's thunder, I'm stealing screen time, I'm kicking him out to work. No, it's none of that. I was doing a guy a favour.
Because he wasn't there.
He wasn't there, and I'm letting him have some time on the beach or ride his cycle. Bicycle,
I can see that perspective from someone who didn't know what was going on.
Yeah, of course.
I mean, that's the product.
But, the last thing anyone wanted me to say is I'm giving the guy some time off because he had some personal issues he wanted to deal with. But that was that season. And when we did that tweak to the format, people hated it. Yeah. They hated it. So, consequently, when that played out and Edd left and Ant came in, that didn't exist anymore. That we went back to where we were right at the very beginning, and the show went back to being a huge success.
That this whole thing was this is my DNA. There was a time that was very tumultuous in the late night world where it was as simple as they got rid of a producer, or they called it severing a sour limb, so to speak. I never realized that maybe this was the case, but it does sound like almost maybe that was part of it as well. And if so, I don't imagine what that must have been like for you.
It was horrible.
I can't imagine.
At the time, you have to imagine, two things about this whole change to the cast of Wheeler Dealers. I can't believe it still resonates after almost 3 years, and people still go on about it. Literally every single post I do on social media, no matter what it is. Like today, I'm promoting my new series. Every single post to promote my new series, there'll be 20% of the posts, the comments will be, "Where's Edd? What does Edd think? What do you think about it?" It's just, and it's like, God, get over it. I just block and delete them. I'm sick to death of it.
Is the old show still repeating?
It's still
places?
repeating everywhere.
So other people think it's current.
They do, but they know, people know, and they do it a lot to wind me up, and it's fine because I just block and delete them.
But you're the sixth kid, you can handle it, right?
I can handle it, yeah, of course I can, but I can't believe it still resonates. But look, when you said about cutting off a sour limb,
and I didn't mean that, nothing personal anywhere.
It's very apt because, when Edd left, and he left under a cloud, he really did, nothing to do with me, not one single, he didn't. He will even tell you in his videos, he never left because of me. I got nothing to do with it.
Sure.
He left because of his relationship with the network.
Right.
That's nothing to do with me. I tried.
It's different.
For 13 years. I nurtured that guy to get him to have a relationship with me, you know. And when he left, he didn't think about me. He didn't think about me. He didn't think about my crew. He didn't think about the team. He didn't think about the show.
Mm-hmm.
He left and selfishly went and done his own thing. And as a consequence, killed careers. You know, producers, directors, cameramen, soundmen, me.
Certainly
what about us? Hello, what about us? He went. He disappeared. So Wheeler Dealers was fundamentally dead, and that was one man's decision. But you know, me, it's my baby, and I'm not going to give up on it. And thank God, I managed to get the show back on. I bought it back, but not only did I bring it back, and with the greatest respect to what we did before, I think I brought it back in a much, much better and positive way. We got a new way of learning. We've got a new guy in the workshop who's fantastic, and it's not only me saying this, the audience are saying it, because ever since we've been back on the air in the last 2 years, we've had record audiences globally, and the show's just succeeding more. It's 20%, 30% more than it ever was before.
That's wonderful.
So it's great, isn't it?
It's
And
wonderful.
that's because of the determination of that team that didn't want to give up, and the determination of me and my wife Michelle and Ant. You know, we just didn't want it to fail.
Result of the work.
It is a result of the work.
Yeah.
And doing the right thing. You know, I said earlier, it's just about paying respect to the car and letting the car be the star. That's written on the boards everywhere in my office. You know, the car's a star.
Yeah.
You can do this yourself at home. That's the motto for Wheeler Dealers. And we as long as we're sticking true to that, the show's just always going to succeed. Always.
Gosh,
a great
I love
motto.
it. I love it.
Mm-hmm.
All right, well, on to the new things. You said that the audience is receiving it very well. I mean, it's been 2 or 3 seasons with Ant. Two,
Yeah.
and this is the third?
So we've got, it's really weird because we've had seasons, we call them one season.
Oh,
but Discovery,
series.
But Discovery break them down into 2 parts. So we've done one series with Ant, which was we started off with the Escort Cosworth, and then we did another series with Ant where we ended up, I think, the last show on that one was a Porsche 924, and now we've got a new which is just played out. And now we've got another 8. There's 18 shows you haven't seen yet.
Oh, my
So we've
goodness.
got 18 in the bag.
That's what starts tonight.
That's what starts tonight.
Okay.
Yeah, you've got, I do believe, 12 of those 18 are going to start playing out
Wow.
tonight. It's going to be good.
That's a
Yeah.
good
Yeah,
binge
it's good.
number.
A bit, and that you will be able to binge it from tonight as well, because they're going to drop the first 6 episodes on
On the stream,
MotorTrend.
on the app?
Yeah, so
Oh,
you
that's
can
cool.
you can get a jump start on all the rest of the people that are watching it on the usual glass box in the middle of the room. You can stream all 6 together at one time using the MotorTrend app. It's going to be great.
Is that new for you? Is that new?
This is
the
brand
app on
new. We are the
this
first show to do it. This
This is the future, right?
This is the future. I mean, look, there's no doubt about it. TV's changed. The way we're going to make TV is changing. The way that we're going to watch TV has definitely changed. Most people now have an online service. More people are cutting their cable and ripping their satellite dishes down than ever before.
Yeah, we did that.
Yeah, we did that. The millennials. Yes,
Yeah.
you people. It's great. But don't get me wrong. I think it's really exciting. And for me, as a television maker, as a producer, and a television program maker, this is the most exciting time for me. I'm going
Same.
through this revolution, this gold rush
Yeah.
in television. And it's exciting in 2 ways, because the audience out there, they want more content. So they demand more of the show. So we've just made an unprecedented 27 episodes in one season. That's never been done before. But what people want is more. They want more, not only more seasons, but more content in that
Yeah.
show. Now, on a
And then
television...
the extra ancillary digital content and everything, right?
Of course they do. But in a television hour, we only make 42 minutes of television, because television hour is only 42 minutes long.
Commercials,
and commercials.
station identification.
So to squeeze in a full restoration on a car in 42 minutes is incredible, incredible. But this jump to digital does mean that we're no longer restricted by that. So we can have an hour-long program. We can have a 75-minute long program, 56 minutes.
2 parts if you
want. 2 parts.
Whatever.
We can do whatever we like. And it frees us to show more of the content on screen, more of me finding these small crafts and trades and industries, more work on the cars that you've never seen before that it ends up on the cutting room floor.
Sure.
Now we can put it in the show. So people are just going to get better and better shows. And they can only get that if they download the app. They can't get that. If they're going to watch it on TV, they're going to watch that 42-minute show. But if you want more Wheeler Dealers, you can watch it online.
But if you have an Apple TV or one of those, you can download the app right there and watch it.
Right, you can watch it straight away, yeah.
Beautiful.
In fact, I think you can watch it today. It is
Yeah.
today.
It's all there.
It's on there today, yeah. So you can
That is so
download
cool.
it. It's really cool. So Discovery Channel, who own Motor Trend, Discovery Channel have asked us to be the first show in their whole portfolio. We're the biggest show in their portfolio, so they've asked us to be the first to do this and to make this transition. And, out of all the shows they could have chosen, and let's face it, Gold Rush and Shark Week
There's a lot
and
these
Deadly
days.
Catch,
Yeah.
all these huge, great big programs they've got to choose, they chose us. And
That must feel good, too.
It feels great. It feels great. I'm very, very proud of it. And I know my bosses at Discovery Channel and at Motor Trend, my bosses at Motor Trend, they are the most vehement supporters of this brand, and they absolutely love this brand. And
I think it may be you too.
Yeah, I hope so. And they can feel that. We can feel that. We can feel that they've got our back, and they really want to push this whole brand into the future. And we're gonna expand out as well. They've given us a chance to just push the boundaries of what Wheeler Dealers means in the future. I've got a new series coming up, Wheeler Dealers Dream Cars. I'm going to be making that in the summer.
Whoa.
Cool.
Ant's got a new series coming up where Ant's going to be building a racing car during the summer.
This is all cool. You bring me back to Ant, though. I want to know, after that whole thing, and you're going to bring the show back and everything, how and why Ant? Because everybody I've heard, as I started to say before, that I do know and trust, loves the new show.
Yeah.
Tori, the guy who booked you for one.
Yeah.
Tori Alonso, huge fan, and I trust his word. How and why Ant?
Well, it's really good, actually.
Okay.
So what happened in Wheeler
It's a tough thing. I mean,
it's a tough thing.
There's
So
no good way to do it.
No, there is no good way. And when Edd left, Edd's a huge character. Unlike I kept saying the car's a star. Well, Edd become a star. Unfortunately, he did, because he's got big hair. He's recognisable. People
Yeah, you can't hide him in a crowd.
You can't hide him.
Yeah.
People would crash their cars to cross the street to shake his hand, and as a consequence, Edd become a star. He really did. So when Edd went, that was the star of the show going. It was the John Lennon of the band. He's quitting. So the band's over. We're done. We're dead. But something happened about 6 years ago. We had a producer, come to work with us on Wheeler Dealers called Jeremy Daldry. Lovely guy. But Jeremy Daldry, he was the showrunner, so he was running the whole production. But what Jeremy did is he sat down with a pen and paper and he wrote down everything that he'd learnt from Wheeler Dealers, how to run a show, how to run a car show.
Oh.
Then he left at the end of the season of Wheeler Dealers. And when he left, he went to work for a rival television company and created, guess what, a Wheeler Dealer knockoff, a car show, which was fundamentally the same as Wheeler Dealers. They took a well-known television actor from the UK, lovely guy, Phil Glenister, and they found a mechanic. And this mechanic happened to be Ant Anstead. He was an unknown, complete unknown, but a really good-looking, strap-in, personable mechanic. They put the two of them together and they made a sort of knockoff copy of Wheeler Dealers for a rival network, and it was a success. And as a consequence, I got to meet Ant. I'm presenting car shows, at live stand-up stage shows at big car events.
You run into one. This community is very small.
Correct, and we run into each other. And when we did, within the first 5 minutes of meeting Ant, and he'll tell you this separately when he comes in for his chat with you.
Yeah, that's right. He's going to be here soon too.
He's going to be here soon. When Ant met me within first 5 minutes, I said to him, we're definitely going to be working together. Because Ant had exactly the same ethos as me on what a car restoration should be like, what a car show should feel like. And we're shouting at each other in 5 minutes, getting all this stuff off our brains. And I said, we're going to work
agreeing.
together. Agreeing.
I love
And then we
that.
did. We started to work together on live stages at classic car shows. We started to work together more and more and more, and started to support each other with charity work, because Ant's got the patron of a charity, and me and Michelle were the patrons of several charities. So we started to support each other, and we become really good friends over the course of the next few years. We become good friends on the not on the television side, but in the away from television side.
Real life.
And real life. So when Edd quit the show and went, and the show was dead and done, once all that was happening, I approached Ant and said, look, I've got an idea that if I brought Wheeler Dealers back, you'd be the only person that I could bring it back with. And Ant absolutely refused. He said, no way, I'm not doing that.
I can't imagine anyone wanting that job.
He said it's too big a job, and it's too big a role to take on, so he didn't want to do it.
No matter what, you're the guy who's coming in after Ed.
Of course.
No matter what the actual
you're
story
always going to be
is,
compared.
exactly.
You're going to be compared, and he still is today, rather cruelly, because they're two different people.
Well, we're going to help get over that.
Good, right. So what happened is a rather strange incident, and Ed will tell you this if you ever have him on your podcast one day. Ed went and visited Ant
Need a bigger studio.
and put him off. He
Oh.
said, please don't do it. If you get offered this job, don't do it.
Oh, my.
And he tried to throw Ant off the scent of ever accepting the job on Wheeler Dealers.
Oh, my goodness.
And when Ed left, Ant phoned me up and he said, I'll do the job. I'll do it. I'm
After
not gonna,
that,
Yeah, I'm not going to be told not to do
That's
something.
a weird...
So I'll do it.
Kinda
And
love
change
Ant.
the dynamic.
I love
yeah.
him.
That's
Yeah,
pretty awesome.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
just
and
pretty
all of a
awesome.
sudden, your loyalty... Yeah, wow, that's
Yeah,
so
so
interesting.
I flew home.
You have a partner, for sure.
So I flew home with the show's current exec producer and showrunner, Jake. We flew home together to England. We got a film crew. We went down to Ant's garage, his real workshop, and we did a test of me and Ant together to see how it would work on screen. First time ever. And
Was there a question, or
instantly-
you just had to see for the network?
no, well, we had to show it to the network,
Okay.
but the instant chemistry was already there because we'd had it for the previous
Right.
3 or 4 years working together. The instant chemistry was already there, and it was magic. You could see when I look back at that footage now, it's just a Wheeler Dealer episode, and it's just magic. We are bouncing off each other. We're having a great time. Both of us are
Seem like
smiling.
friends. You really seem like
we're really
friends.
good friends. And of course, once that footage went in front of Discovery Channel, they were straight
Done
on the
deal.
phone to me and
That's
said,
awesome.
"That's the guy.
Let's do
That's
it."
the guy. We're doing this show. We're going to bring the show back. We want that guy." And he came in to do Wheeler Dealers, and thank God he did, because we started off with that Escort Cosworth controversial with that third wing we put on the back of it, and Ant owned that. He absolutely owned that. That was his show, his decision to do that. And if he's going to start off on this iconic British brand, do it with an
Make a
iconic British
splash.
car and do something controversial to it, make a splash. And the rest is history. He knocked it out of the park with that. People went, this guy's kind of serious. We love him.
Was that car and that decision made because of all that, or that just how it unfolded when the production schedule
we
went?
actually finished making the car. The car was done, and when we was at the 11th hour, literally the 11th hour on that very first episode of Wheeler Dealers, Frank Stephenson, the famous McLaren and Ferrari designer, the guy that designed the Mini 1, the Fiat 500, the 612 Scaglietti, every McLaren since 2005. That guy, Frank Stephenson, also designed the Cosworth.
I didn't know
And
that.
he happens to be a friend of ours, and he came to the studio to visit. And when he came into the studio, he went, "That's my baby. That's my Cosworth. I designed the rear end of this car. That's my baby." When I designed it, I actually designed it with a third wing. I put a third wing on it. That was the original
So
intent.
that's
No
how
way.
it came
Yes,
to be.
but the people at Ford took the third wing off because it was too expensive. And if it should be as intended, it should look like the Red Baron. It should have 3 wings at the back.
Wow, that's right. That's right.
And so when he said that to Ant at the 11th hour, Ant said, "We're doing it, absolutely doing it." So we cast a mould, made it, put
When
the
you have
third
approval
wing on.
from the designer right there in the studio, too, that's kind of nice.
And he drew it. He drew it right there and then. It was amazing, absolutely amazing. And Frank forced us into that decision, and Ant owned that decision solely. And he said, "I'm doing this." And he put that third wing on. And still today, 2 years later, it still raises debate. Every single day online, somebody will have either they hate it or they love it, and that's what's good about it, because they're talking about it. And the designer intended it to be there, but the Escort Cosworth purists are going, well, I'm not too sure. But it's strange, we've had Ken Block, who's recently bought an Escort Cosworth, actually mentioned several times that he should put a third wing on it, because it does work. It does work. It adds more downforce and more grip. And that's what was intended originally. So yeah, that show, I'm very proud of that one show that we come back with. I think it was the Mark of Ant. And I let Ant own that show. I'm quiet in that show. You see me, I'm kind of a little church mouse in the background. I'm letting him take that.
We're back. See what you think.
We're back. Yeah, see what you think of this guy. In fact, for that whole season, I sort of took a more quieter approach to everything I did, and a more serious approach just to let Ant find his own space. And now, I'll be honest with you, again. I feel like Ant's running the show now. He's doing a fantastic job.
Well, that must be good.
It's great.
That must be great for
it's
you.
Brilliant. I've got a partner. I've got a real, true, genuine partner. Somebody that is purely passionate about what he does. He loves what he does. The good news for me is that he managed to marry a hot American wife who's also a TV presenter, and that means he ain't going anywhere. He's staying.
Yeah.
This isn't the guy who's going to leave me.
I didn't know that. Who's his wife?
Christina she's now Christina Anstead, formerly El Musa. She does a show on HGTV called Flip or Flop.
I know that show.
Yes.
No kidding.
Yes, that's
Small
so he's
world.
married her, and they're expecting their first child together.
Oh, congratulations.
And it's
That's wonderful.
fantastic. So he isn't going anywhere.
Congratulations. I'm glad this show will be here for a while.
We're running all around the place, and I don't want to keep you too long. I do want to know about Porsche, because you are a Porsche fan as well.
Huge Porsche fan.
And you've got a few Porsches probably you should tell us about, I would think.
I've got a few tucked away. Well, I mean, it's really hard for me, because I sell, me and my wife, we got car dealerships in England.
Mike Brewer Motors, right?
Mike Brewer Motors, and we've got this phenomenal business back in England, and I've always got probably 20, 30 Porsches in stock. So technically you could say they're mine as well, but they're not. they're for stock. But no, personally, we've got a few. I've got a 69T 2.2T that is a lovely little car. I think you've seen it as parked in Nicholas's garage. Nicholas Hunziger, a very good friend,
mutual friend, and supplier of wardrobe for the show.
Yes, Nicholas has got the T in his garage. We've also got a very unusual 550 Beck Spider that is just been done at a crazy level. It's all aluminum, the inside of it, aluminium it should be, all the inside of it, and
regionalisms.
And yes, and it's got original 550 hubs and brakes on it. It's just kind of
pretty cool.
Yeah, it's a very cool car. So me and Nick are going to be working on that in the future. I've got a 82SC, which is my daily driver, and that's beautiful. Lots of people have seen that car. I'm sort of going down the road. I got it, and I thought I'm just going to change some subtle things on it. And then as you get into this world, particularly here in California, and you go to more car meets, you go, I like what that guy's got, and I like what that guy's got. I want that in my car. So now I'm starting to IROC that car, front and rear bumpers,
nice.
Which I'm going to do. I've already got a ducktail. And
now, I love it already. I got to start coming to Breakfast Club.
And I just upgraded the exhaust to a Maxi Flow exhaust to give it a bit more lighter and a bit more power out the back. And I'm going for twin pipes. And so I've just started
There's all sorts of things.
Yeah, I'm gonna just open it up a little bit more.
Look at your face lit up, like you get so.
You can always find another stock 82 SC.
Well, I had this sort of thing that I just wanted to keep it, as I got it, as original.
Part of the story, right?
Yeah, part of the story. But then
you saw your own television show.
Yes. Yeah, but I'm a car guy, and I just want to fiddle with my own car. So I'm now going down the road of starting to hot rod that. And I've got the most exquisite, one model year only, 1976 912.
Oh, yeah. The E, right?
The E, yeah. So I've got a 912E, which I've got.
It's not the one from your episode, is
no,
it?
This is exactly the same car as that. This car's in England, so I took it back home to England. I restored it in enamel blue. Its original colour. That's nice. And it is absolutely immaculate. I mean, the car is just a pristine restoration, but strangely,
it's a neat rare car.
It's a driver. I drive it constantly. As soon as I land in England, It's the car I keep in my garage at home. It's the car that I get in and drive every day. The one thing I love about that car is, unlike the SC, I can only drive that SC really at about 8 temps, 9 temps. But the 912, I drive it 11 temps. I put that. Because
where's it going to go?
Where's it going to go? I drive it on the door handle, seriously. Yep. And every time I see a bend in the road or a roundabout in England, I think, I reckon I can do this roundabout at least 30 miles an hour faster than I did yesterday. And it just sticks. The car just sticks to glue. It's a £100 lighter over the rear axle, so it's not going to swap ends on you.
That's a great place to lose 100 pounds.
It is, and it doesn't swap ends on you, and you can just mash your foot on that accelerator into any corner you like, and to go through it with a grin. I love that car.
That's so cool.
I would say that's out of all the cars I've got, and I've got me and my wife, we've got a very good collection. I would say that's my favourite car.
That's the one.
Isn't that something?
Yeah, and that's even more favourite than say the 69 or the SC or any others that I've got. I've got Citroen SMs and Camaros, Mustangs. I've got I've got a DB4, Aston Martin DB4 Zagato race car, but I would still choose the 912 over any of them.
Wow,
that's pretty cool. Social media had some questions.
Yes,
real quick here. Some folks on Instagram. I'll have to read the first one. I'll say who this is from afterwards. Ask Mike why I'm the best professional automotive fine artist and race car driver in the world, yet have the ability to remain so grounded. Be very specific. Do you have any idea who that might be from?
I could be incredibly specific about that.
Any idea who that might be from?
I got to meet this guy a few years ago, Nicholas Hunziger,
Yeah.
and his beautiful wife Heather, and I got to meet him a few years ago. And it's fair to say that Nick is not a guy that's easy to get to know. He's kind of he's an artist, and as an artist, he's going to cut off his ear. He's going to paint naked women or something. He's going to be in a shell.
Yeah.
But very quickly, me and Nick, we bonded over the love of one thing, and that's cars. Again, we speak car talk together, and together with his wife, and they are the most creative and forward-thinking people I've ever met. They're just wonderful people, and to be around Nick and see his art is incredible. Nick touches people in areas that we can't. Me and you are good at talking. That's what we're good at. And I can touch people by painting a picture on screen, and I can touch them that way by narrating that picture. You behind a desk. Nick actually does it with pen and paper and paint, and he touches people in that way.
Yeah.
And he is an incredible artist. I mean, when you walk into the headquarters of Porsche or Singer or McLaren or Pirelli, and his artwork is hanging on the walls, you know that the guy is a serious artist. But not only that, he's
just a wonderful perspective. You're right.
Yeah, but not only that, he happens to be a really cool car guy, and not as a cool car guy, he's got an insane passion to race cars, and he is a pretty tasty race driver.
Yeah.
And he's been out of the saddle for a little while, but he's just recently got back in the saddle again.
Yeah, we're going to play a video tomorrow.
Yeah, and he's raced recently, and he's come home with a pot. He won a race meeting recently, and that's fantastic.
A cup for us, right?
Yeah, we call it a pot. You can call it a cup. So he come home with a cup or a pot, and for Nick, that is his life. Nick's life is painting and racing, and it's a pleasure to know him. It really is a pleasure to know him. And as a consequence, we become such good car friends and buddies that me and Nick we're working on the 69T that I've got. We're working on that together. Nick is going to help me do a sport performance upgrade on that car, and also the 550 we bought together. So that we partnered, me and Nick in
I'm very excited about the future of this relationship.
Yeah, no, the relationship's really good. He also done a merchandise range for me, a wheeler dealer merchandise range of T-shirts and.
We're going to copy your model. It's good.
It's great.
It's tonight's show. We're going to do the same thing.
Tonight's show you should do. You should get Nick to do it. He recently painted a picture for me and Michelle and my daughter Chloe. He asked me, "What's your favourite car?" I said, my favourite car is a 64 Mini Cooper S. Most people are going to say a Ferrari 250, but me, no, it's a 64 Mini Cooper S. Bury me in one. And Nick painted a picture of
It's your kiddie car, right?
Yeah, of a 64 Mini with me, Michelle, my daughter, sat in it.
Oh,
And,
beautiful.
and he painted it for
That's
us,
cool.
and it touched my heart. You know, it's such a generous thing to do. So, yes, it's a pleasure to know him. You should go and see him. He's at 4040 Spencer Street in Torrance, and look him up online, Hunziger Designs, across all social media. He does great footwear, great merchandise, and he's an amazing artist.
He's a big fan of yours too, buddy. I know that. Ask Mike this. If you were looking for a used non-911 or 913, I think he means 912 Porsche, which would be, yes, he does mean 12, which would be your preferred model of choice? That seems...
So a good used one. Well, I can tell you, unfortunately, in the world that we love, the Porsche world, prices have now, the bubble's now burst, and
Yeah.
prices are on their way down.
Yeah.
But
Good time to wait.
It is a good time to wait. However, the only car, strangely, the only car bucking the trend in a downward spiral of Porsche prices is an SC. So a 79, 80, 81, 82, 83 SC are the only ones rated at 29% up in
Wow.
prices. And the reason for that
And
is
you're gonna
because
customize yours.
because they've completely been overlooked. Up until now, because now the prices of the,
Everything else got
everything else got out of control, so that bubble has to burst. But now people are going, oh, well, hold on a minute, we forgot this car. Nobody's looked at that car because it wasn't the most desirable one, because it's a bit fat, a bit bloated, a bit heavy. But now,
now
all of
it's
a sudden,
available.
Now it's available, and it's still in that good price range, that $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 price range. And now that car is on the ascent, so that's a really good place to start. As for the 912, that's very difficult at the moment, because the 912 market, again, the 911 market's burst its bubble, but the 912 market hasn't quite yet. And the 912 market is still quite buoyant and still quite popular. I would try to getting a free gauge 912. You're going to be paying heavy money for one of those today. But if I was looking for a 912 today, I would definitely default to that 76 model, that one model year
The E,
only.
really?
The E, yeah, that's the one that I would go for. Just take that nonsense fuel injection off and put some carbs
change
on
it,
it,
yeah.
and open the car up, and it performs a lot better and much more rewarding. That's what I did to mine. And I would recommend go searching for one of those. If you can find one with a sunroof, they only made 500 ever in the world. So
No kidding.
With the
yeah, so
sunroof?
with a
There's no-
sunroof, yeah.
Oh,
So there's
my.
only, although I prefer cars without a sunroof,
Right.
Just
but
because
if-
of the rarity.
the rarity. But if you can find one with a sunroof, you've got one of only 500 cars ever made by Porsche.
Wow.
And one day, that car will be worth a small fortune. Also, getting away from a 911 and 912, and I'm going to say this with a prediction, the 928 market, right? 928 market is completely overlooked. And you have to think of what a 928 is. A 928 is a 5-litre Porsche V8. It's
Front engine.
Front engine. It's some of the most exquisite design ever, and it's probably one of the most beautifully R&D'd and researched cars that Porsche ever produced back then. Well, it was back then, and probably still is today. And yet you can still buy them for sub 20 grand. Those
Yeah.
cars. And my prediction is, with the world of the 911s and SCs and 912s, where that world's gone, my prediction is that within a couple of years, 928s, S2s, S4s, I reckon that they're going to be $40,000 cars within a
Wow.
couple of years.
Whoa.
Yeah, they have
Good
to
job.
be.
It doesn't surprise me.
It doesn't.
It wouldn't surprise
They
me.
have to be. They have to be. So a really good purchase at the moment to be going and find a really decent original standard 928 and nurturing it and loving it.
Love it. I want to wrap up with you here because I want to get you out. But I would like to know personally what your favorite wheeler dealer transaction was. Like, I don't know, maybe your favorite customer, maybe the best deal you ever
Yeah,
made.
that's
I
good.
don't know.
Yeah, that's a
but
good question.
transaction-wise, not the car.
See, this is why you're good at this, because nobody's asked me that question before.
Really?
Nobody. In 22 years of television, people always ask me, what's your favourite car?
That's what I don't... Yeah. All right, well, I go
See,
between.
this is why you're good at this.
Thanks, man.
So favourite transaction, I think I'll have to go back to the last season when it was the Austin Healey 3000.
Okay.
It was the most expensive car I ever bought in Wheeler Dealers at $35,000. It was a big ask for the Wheeler Dealer audience to come along with me for that ride, because they're used to seeing cars at 10, 15, 20 grand price range.
It's very appealing to see something that you maybe could do yourself.
Correct. To see a car that's 35 grand is a little bit of an ask for a Wheeler Dealer audience.
Sure.
However, if I didn't do it that year, I'd never do it because I knew the following year that's going to be a 50 grand car. The following year it's going to be a 75 grand car. The prices are just gone. They're flying. So in the time that we had the car and the work we did to it, I sold it at Barrett Jackson Car Auctions for 75 grand. So that's the most rewarding, and it's only rewarding not because of the amount of money that we made. It's rewarding because the audience we put it in front of. We put it in front of an audience of thousands of people at a live auction where we had eyeballs pouring all over that car. And they found it flawless. They found that car flawless, and that shows the quality of the work that me and Ant did on the show. And I'm proud of that. You know, we put it in front of these people on a stage, and two people loved it enough to go and fight against each other and pay double what I paid for it. And that's a very rewarding feeling.
I bet it is. That was a great answer, too, without having to think about it. My goodness. And then lastly, what on earth can we expect this season from Wheeler Dealers? I know we can watch a lot of it today, but...
Yes, you can expect a lot, actually.
I have a picture of I have a screen grab here. I'll put that up, right?
Yeah, so this is tonight's show. We've got the wonderful Porsche 996 again.
There we go.
Very much an overlook
cabriolet.
car. Cabriolet, an overlook car. And the reason I steered to a 996 is, again, these are cars that are starting to come into their own price-wise. They're starting to just, people are starting to pay much more attention to them. They had huge amounts of criticism in the past, but that was purely from a design point of view, the fried egg headlamp.
Everyone talks about it.
And everyone talks about that. But
I'll put it back up there.
Unfortunately, the car is still a beautifully engineered, well-executed Porsche. And people need to now start embracing what that car stands for. And the one thing about that car that was really good is if you're going to feature a 996, especially at the year 2000, you're always going to run up against that IMS problem,
right?
The intermediate shaft bearing. And I went and found a car that hadn't had it done. Purely so I could
you could do it. Okay.
So I could do it, and I could show the audience what that is. That ticking time bomb.
There you go.
It's a grenade with the pin pulled, and you're driving it down the road. And I wanted to show you that, you know, with that grenade. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it too much. There is a way you can do this, but not only a way you can do it. We did a minor upgrade to it as well, where we oil fed the new IMS, and we show you how to do that. And it is something that's within the realms of the home mechanic, the Porsche enthusiast.
If you know how to, if you can change your clutch, you can absolutely do this.
So you're going to see that on tonight's show. And then coming up, we've got Type 3 Fastback, Volkswagen Type 3 Fastback. Really cool Mazda RX-7 that's coming up with a great drive at the ends. The drive at the ends, I just had that thing sideways wherever I could. It's amazing. And it's the best RX-7. It's the first generation, but with the 1985, had the newer B series engine that was going to go in the later cars.
Okay.
So it was a crossover period. So it's the best of the shapes and the best of the engines in that 1985, and that's a very cool car.
They were all neat to me.
And I've just mixed in an eclectic mix. You know, I've got a Chevy C10 truck in there as well. Because I needed a bit of Americana in there. And I've just gone for this really weird eclectic mix of cars from all over the world, not, you know, purely American cars, or I've gone for European and Japanese cars, and I've tried to really mix this series up, and the other 18 that you've yet to see, I've really mixed them up. And I'm prouder, I think, of this series than of any other series that we've done, because we've now, you know, we got the Ant up and running in the workshop. I think the debacle of whatever happened before is now laid to waste. It's just a few people
its own
out
thing
there.
again.
It's its own thing again, and a few people out there that still want to hang on to the past, let them. But now we're running again, and we've got the confidence and the whole crew's got the confidence. We're back flying, and I think I can feel it. I can feel it on screen when I watch the shows.
Cool.
We're having so much fun making it. We really are. And you're going to see the fun, and I think it's going to come out on screen. And
when that translates,
we want people to enjoy it. You know, it's hard to sit down there and be educated about something without having a little bit of a laugh along the way. And we want people to enjoy it, and it's not forced humour. Nothing on the show is written. We don't write anything down. It's not forced. It's natural. You know,
just in the moment, like what comes up.
In the moment,
right?
what happens. You know, sometimes we've said it in the moment, and it's funny, and the crew laugh. and but the camera wasn't running properly, so we might have to do it again. So the only time it's forced is when we have to repeat ourselves. But genuinely, it's we love what we do. We're enjoying every single minute of it, and long may it continue.
Do you get one last thing again? Do you get that a lot of female viewers are there's a mass appeal to both sexes?
Now Ant's joined the show, most definitely.
No, I'm serious.
No, it's true.
Do you know what I mean?
And
Even before.
Ant is quite good at showing me his analytics on his Instagram, and he goes, look at my analytics. How many men viewers? And when you look at mine, I'm 94% male, 6% female. When you look at Ant's, it's 65% male, 45%
Oh, my
female.
goodness.
So Ant's like, yeah, women watch now because I'm on the show. And we get a lot of women watch the show. And I think a lot of women out there as well know that in the background of Wheeler Dealers are some powerful women, namely my wife Michelle, who's been there since day dot.
Why don't you come on in? I mean, we're saying goodbye. Why don't you come on in just for
Michelle,
the sake of it?
Who's been there since... there she is. So Michelle has been there since day dot and has driven this show in the background. You know, she's really forced lots of decisions we make every day. They come from Michelle. She caters for the crew almost every day. Yeah,
Michelle.
She cares. She caters. She's the counsellor. She's everything. And the show wouldn't be the success it is today without strong women behind it. Somebody like Michelle. Yeah, autism is a big thing for us. We get a lot of autism. Yeah, we get a lot of autistic people reach out to us from all over the world, say that how much the show calms autistic children down, and they love the nature of the show where we take a tool, fix something, put the tool back, and it's very much in its place. So that's very good. But I think we're all very proud of what we created, and it's not only me, and a lot of people look at me and go, you're the front of the show, it's your show, and it's not only me.
We know.
or Michelle. It's a team, and the team have been more or less the same people that have been on it for the past 6 years.
That's incredible.
Yeah, we're a family, 16 years. Same
that's
cameraman,
what translates.
Same cameraman, same sound men. We've got the same producer that's been on it for 5 years, 2 producers that have been on it for 5 years. The team are uniquely British, mainly the team are uniquely British as well. And we try to bring that Britishness to the show. You're right, Michelle? I'm fine. Did you enjoy listening to all of that? You did? Yeah, you did. Well, I mean, that's what I'm good at, talking. That's how we earn a living.
Oh, you guys are delightful. Mike, thanks so much for coming here, especially on your big day, launching another series.
I couldn't think of anywhere else that I'd rather be. I'd rather be here talking about what to look forward to in the upcoming episodes of Wheeler Dealers, and I'm about to leave here and do it about 20 more times today.
Yeah, you are. It's junket day.
It is junket day.
All right. Well, thank you so much, and I look forward to seeing you again soon.
Yeah. Well, let's get me on again.
Absolutely.
You got it. Thank you.
Mrs. Ryan, what do we have tomorrow? We've got
Leanne's coming tomorrow.
Leanne Elias Deutsch, we're going to say.
Yeah.
And then Friday we're at Breakfast Club. So I love you so much. Mike Brewer and Michelle, we love you so much. We love everybody at home. Please love one another, and we will see you tomorrow.
Wow. That is so sweet. It's fantastic. I can't. Did you